Talk politics now. Presidential candidates here in America were quick to voice their views on today's attacks. KCAL 9 political reporter Dave Bryan has been tracking their comments and reaction to them. He joins us now. Dave?
It's had a huge impact, but if this happened 7 days or 7 weeks before the presidential election, it would have really perhaps determined the outcome of the general election, but it's 7 months until November. The deadly terrorist attack in Brussels has moved the terrorism issue back to the top of the campaign agenda, and the presidential candidates' plans for addressing the attack were worlds apart. It was Texas Senator Ted Cruz who stirred the most controversy here at home when he declared in the aftermath of the Brussels attack that U.S. law enforcement should keep an eye on Muslims, suggesting that police should patrol and secure Muslim neighborhoods before they become radicalized. That brought a swift and blunt reaction from the president of the Muslim Public Affairs Council, who indicated Cruz doesn't know what he's talking about.
What Ted Cruz is doing is exposing his own ignorance, because there's no such thing as a Muslim neighborhood. There is no Muslim neighborhood in Southern California or New York or in any major metropolitan area. There's no such thing in America, because America has integrated our community into mainstream society.
Not surprisingly, it was Donald Trump who got in the first word after the Belgium attack, suggesting on Fox News,
I would close up our borders to people until we figure out what is going on.
But 30 minutes later on CBS, he denied that's what he said.
No, I didn't say shut down the borders.
Only to flip again on Fox Business Channel.
We have to close our borders.
California Democrat Adam Schiff, the ranking member on the House Intelligence Committee, said both Cruz and Trump's proposals would feed into the ISIS party line that Islam and the West are at war with one another. And in the end, it could radicalize a lot more Muslims who are not there now.
But I don't think we want to respond the way some of the GOP presidential candidates have, like Mr. Cruz and Mr. Trump, by calling for either surveillance of Muslim communities or a ban on Muslims coming into the country. That just feeds into the ISIS narrative.
The LAPD has created a nationally renowned program of trust and cooperation with Muslims. At events like this one last year at Getty Center, Chief Charlie Beck and the leaders of his anti-terrorism team schmoozed and broke bread with local Muslim leaders and talked about more serious issues as well.
The way that we build relationships and create communication is absolutely key, and obviously in the Muslim community, you know, there are a lot of pitfalls that we have to avoid, and by working with this community, we set up safeguards so that those things won't happen here.
On Tuesday, at a news conference with the mayor, Chief Beck said that relationship was one of the key elements of LA's terrorism defense plan.
It's what keeps people from going to the dark side. This is very much a battle between good and evil, and it's the good in America that keeps us safe.
Democrat Hillary Clinton says she'd wage a cyber war against ISIS recruiters if it was up to her.
Whereas some of my opponents want to build walls and shut the world off, well, you tell me, how high does the wall have to be to keep the internet out?
Republican John Kasich criticized President Obama for continuing his trip to South America and Cuba, where he attended a Cuba-U.S. baseball game instead of returning home in the wake of the Brussels attack.
I'm a little surprised that the president is going to a baseball game.
Now, Democrat Bernie Sanders says the war against ISIS is a war against a barbaric organization that's killing innocent people, not a war against a religion, and that issue appears to be the dividing line in Americans' attitudes about terrorism. Elsa, Jeff?
So, you know, the the presidential candidates certainly wasted no time getting on with the media in all aspects, social media, morning shows, to weigh in on the attacks in Brussels. How much of an impact do you think their responses are going to have on the presidential campaign?
It's interesting. A lot of it is about the timing. Generally speaking, military and terrorism issues tend to work in favor of Republicans. And Donald Trump and Ted Cruz have been the toughest talkers so far. It's a strong fear issue. But in this case, while important, this attack was not in the United States. So I would expect that by November, unless there are other attacks, it may not be a defining issue. And Democrats, of course, will argue that international incidents like this could favor those candidates who have the most experience in foreign policy and understand global politics, and that might favor Hillary Clinton. Jeff, Elsa, back to you.